Picture this: a crowded nightclub in the heart of Atlanta, music pounding, lights flashing, and phones raised high. Fans thought they were just capturing another ordinary night. But what appeared on those shaky, glittering videos has sent the internet into meltdown, because right there, under the neon glow, Jasmine Washington was spotted wearing a chain that everyone swears belongs to Kirk Frost. Yes, you heard that right, Kirk's signature piece. The heavy gold chain he's been photographed with for years seemed to be resting proudly on Jasmine's neck. The moment the clips hit social media, chaos erupted. Fans are shocked, the comments section exploded, and whispers about betrayal and secrecy turned into a roaring fire of accusations. Within hours, hashtags like #KirkChainDrama and #JasmineExposed were trending, pulling thousands into the storm. Some insisted it had to be a coincidence, maybe even a look-alike piece, but others dug deeper, posting side-by-side photos of Kirk wearing the exact chain at a family barbecue just weeks ago. The engraving, the clasp, even the shine looked identical. Emotions ran high as loyal followers of Rashida demanded answers, while Jasmine's supporters claimed this was just another attempt to drag her name through the mud. The family was left divided, fans took sides, and the drama ballooned into a full-blown scandal that no one saw coming. Behind the scenes, insiders began hinting that this wasn't an accident at all, that Jasmine flaunting Kirk's chain was a deliberate move, a hidden message, or perhaps even a taunt aimed directly at Rashida. Was this proof of a secret connection that had never truly ended? Or was Jasmine simply stirring the pot to keep her name in the spotlight? Either way, the chain that once symbolized Kirk's flashy lifestyle now threatens to unravel the fragile balance of his family and friendships. The stage is set, the tension is boiling, and one thing is certain: Atlanta has never seen drama shine this bright. Under the dim light of Atlanta's most talked-about club, the chain shimmered like it had a story of its own, and Jasmine Washington's casual choice to wear it became the spark that set off a storm. Fans weren't just looking at jewelry, they were looking at a symbol, a piece of Kirk Frost's identity, something he had flaunted in countless photos, videos, and public events. Now, to see it draped over Jasmine's collarbone was enough to make even the calmest followers lose their composure. Phones lit up as people shouted, "That's Kirk's chain," and the clips spread faster than wildfire. Within hours, blogs and gossip pages had latched on, feeding the frenzy with captions like "Caught red-handed," and "Is Jasmine sending a message to Rashida?" The energy inside the Frost household shifted immediately once the story broke. Rashida, scrolling through her phone late at night, froze when her DMs were flooded with screenshots of Jasmine wearing the chain. Her chest tightened as she zoomed in on the image again and again, hoping there was a detail that proved it wasn't true. But the clasp, the weight, the custom engraving, it was all there. "Kirk," she whispered, her voice trembling as she turned the phone toward him. "What is this?" Kirk, who had been trying to unwind in front of the television, suddenly looked like a deer caught in headlights. "Babe, it ain't what it looks like," he stammered, but even he knew the excuse sounded weak before it left his lips. Outside their walls, fans were dissecting every frame of the footage. One Twitter user compared high-definition paparazzi photos of Kirk wearing the chain at a music video shoot with Jasmine's blurry nightclub shot, circling identical scratches and markings. Another fan posted, "We not crazy. That's the same chain Kirk wore when he renewed his vows with Rashida. How Jasmine got it." The comment racked up thousands of likes, pushing the scandal into the center of Atlanta's gossip universe. Emotions ran high, with Rashida supporters demanding she finally walk away from Kirk, while Jasmine's defenders argued she had every right to flaunt what she wanted, hinting that maybe Kirk had gifted it to her long ago during their alleged past involvement. Meanwhile, Jasmine herself remained silent online, which only made the situation worse. Silence was interpreted as arrogance, as though she was letting the storm brew while enjoying the attention. In private, however, she was pacing her apartment, her phone buzzing nonstop. "These people are obsessed," she muttered, throwing the device onto her couch. But then, she stopped, smirked, and said to herself, "Let them talk. Maybe it's time they remember I'm not going anywhere." Her words carried a mix of defiance and weariness, as though she knew every move she made would always tie her back to Kirk, no matter how far she tried to step out of the shadows. The Frost kids weren't spared from the drama either. Word spread through their school halls faster than wildfire, with classmates whispering and pointing. One of Rashida's sons came home visibly upset, slamming his backpack onto the floor. "Mom, everyone's talking about it," he said, his voice breaking. "They're saying Dad gave Jasmine your chain." Rashida's eyes filled with tears as she tried to comfort him, but her heart was burning with anger. She turned to Kirk, her patience running thin. "Do you see what this is doing to our family?" she demanded. Kirk, struggling to keep his composure, snapped back, "I didn't give her nothing. I don't even know how she got it." But even as he spoke, doubt lingered in his tone. Outside their circle, reality TV producers began circling the scandal like vultures. Whispers in the industry suggested that this drama could reignite love in hip-hop, Atlanta with record-breaking ratings. If it made its way onto the screen, a producer was even overheard saying, "If Jasmine and Rashida confront each other about this chain, that's television gold." The thought of their private pain being turned into public entertainment added another layer of stress for Rashida, who felt like her personal struggles were never really hers to deal with alone. Fans, media, and even TV executives always found a way to feed off her heartbreak. To make matters worse, an anonymous Instagram account surfaced, claiming to have proof that Jasmine had been seen leaving Kirk's studio just days before she was spotted with the chain. Blurry photos of a woman resembling Jasmine getting into a black SUV circulated with captions like, "Don't play with us, we know what we saw." Though nothing was confirmed, the images were enough to ignite further speculation. First, the chain, now the studio. "Kirk can't keep himself out of trouble," one user wrote. And the comments section erupted with laughing emojis, angry emojis, and endless debates. Rashida, tired of the whispers, finally decided to address the issue in her own way. During an Instagram live, she appeared composed, but her eyes betrayed exhaustion. "Look," she told her followers, "y'all see stuff online, y'all assume the worst. But I need people to understand, not everything is what it seems." Despite her attempt to downplay the drama, the comments section lit up with questions she refused to answer directly. "So is that Kirk's chain or not? Why Jasmine wearing it? Sis, blink twice if you done with Kirk." The live only deepened the mystery, as fans interpreted her calm tone as a sign that she was hiding her true feelings. Behind closed doors, the tension between Kirk and Rashida hit a breaking point. One evening, voices echoed through their home as the two clashed. "You're embarrassing me again," Rashida shouted, her voice cracking with fury. "Every time I think we've moved past the lies, something else pops up." Kirk, pacing the room, shot back, "I didn't give her the chain. Maybe she's playing games. Maybe somebody gave it to her just to stir all this up." Rashida folded her arms, glaring at him. "Then why does it look so real? Why does it always come back to you and her?" Her words cut deep, and Kirk could only rub his temples, frustrated, knowing he had no clear answer. The city of Atlanta thrived on drama, and this scandal quickly became the talk of the town. Barbershops, salons, and cafes buzzed with heated debates. "Man, Kirk messy," one barber said as his clients nodded. "Ain't no way Jasmine just magically got that chain." A customer interrupted, "Nah, I think she just clout chasing. Kirk probably ain't touched her in years." Everyone had a theory, and nobody was backing down. The family was left divided not just in their own home, but in the court of public opinion where every stranger felt entitled to weigh in on their pain. As days passed, Jasmine finally broke her silence. She posted a photo of herself on Instagram, her lips glossed, her eyes staring directly into the camera. And the chain front and center. No caption, no explanation, just the chain sparkling under soft lighting. Within minutes, the post racked up tens of thousands of likes and comments. Fans flooded the thread with fire emojis, snake emojis, and endless speculation. "Oh, she bold," one user wrote. "She really taunting Rashida now." The silence of words but loudness of the image sent a clear message. Jasmine wasn't backing down. And if anything, she was leaning into the chaos. The ripple effects were unstoppable. Kirk's phone rang nonstop with calls from friends, business partners, and even church members asking what was going on. "Man, you gotta get ahead of this," one longtime friend advised. "The longer you let Jasmine control the story, the worse it's gone. But Kirk, caught between anger and despair, couldn't figure out his next move. Should he deny everything, confront Jasmine publicly, or stay silent and hope it all blew over? None of the options seemed safe, and with Rashida's trust crumbling again, he knew the chain wasn't just metal and diamonds anymore, it was a ticking time bomb threatening to destroy everything he had left. Under the dim light of Atlanta's most talked about club, the chain shimmered like it had a story of its own, and Jasmine Washington's casual choice to wear it became the spark that set off a storm. Fans weren't just looking at jewelry, they were looking at a symbol, a piece of Kirk Frost's identity, something he had flaunted in countless photos, videos, and public events. Now, to see it draped over Jasmine's collarbone was enough to make even the calmest followers lose their composure. Phones lit up as people shouted, That's Kirk's chain. And the clips spread faster than wildfire. Within hours, blogs and gossip pages had latched on, feeding the frenzy with captions like "caught red-handed," and "is Jasmine sending a message to Rashida?" The energy inside the Frost household shifted immediately once the story broke. Rashida, scrolling through her phone late at night, froze when her DMs were flooded with screenshots of Jasmine wearing the chain. Her chest tightened as she zoomed in on the image again and again, hoping there was a detail that proved it wasn't true. But the clasp, the weight, the custom engraving, it was all there. "Kirk," she whispered, her voice trembling as she turned the phone toward him. "What is this?" Kirk, who had been trying to unwind in front of the television, suddenly looked like a deer caught in headlights. "Babe, it ain't what it looks like," he stammered. But even he knew the excuse sounded weak before it left his lips. Outside their walls, fans were dissecting every frame of the footage. One Twitter user compared high-definition paparazzi photos of Kirk wearing the chain at a music video shoot with Jasmine's blurry nightclub shot, circling identical scratches and markings. Another fan posted, "We not crazy? That's the same chain Kirk wore when he renewed his vows with Rashida. How Jasmine got it." The comment racked up thousands of likes, pushing the scandal into the center of Atlanta's gossip universe. Emotions ran high, with Rashida's supporters demanding she finally walk away from Kirk, while Jasmine's defenders argued she had every right to flaunt what she wanted, hinting that maybe Kirk had gifted it to her long ago during their alleged past involvement. Meanwhile, Jasmine herself remained silent online, which only made the situation worse. Silence was interpreted as arrogance, as though she was letting the storm brew while enjoying the attention. In private, however, she was pacing her apartment, her phone buzzing nonstop. "These people are obsessed," she muttered, throwing the device onto her couch. But then, she stopped, smirked, and said to herself, "Let them talk. Maybe it's time they remember I'm not going anywhere." Her words carried a mix of defiance and weariness, as though she knew every move she made would always tie her back to Kirk, no matter how far she tried to step out of the shadows. The Frost kids weren't spared from the drama either. Word spread through their school halls faster than wildfire, with classmates whispering and pointing. One of Rashida's sons came home visibly upset, slamming his backpack onto the floor. "Mom, everyone's talking about it," he said, his voice breaking. "They're saying Dad gave Jasmine your chain." Rashida's eyes filled with tears as she tried to comfort him, but her heart was burning with anger. She turned to Kirk, her patience running thin. "Do you see what this is doing to our family?" she demanded. Kirk, struggling to keep his composure, snapped back, "I didn't give her nothing. I don't even know how she got it." But even as he spoke, doubt lingered in his tone. Outside their circle, reality TV producers began circling the scandal like vultures. Whispers in the industry suggested that this drama could reignite love and hip-hop, Atlanta with record-breaking ratings. If it made its way onto the screen, a producer was even overheard saying, "If Jasmine and Rashida confront each other about this chain, that's television gold." The thought of their private pain being turned into public entertainment added another layer of stress for Rashida, who felt like her personal struggles were never really hers to deal with alone. Fans, media, and even TV executives always found a way to feed off her heartbreak. To make matters worse, an anonymous Instagram account surfaced, claiming to have proof that Jasmine had been seen leaving Kirk's studio just days before she was spotted with the chain. Blurry photos of a woman resembling Jasmine getting into a black SUV circulated with captions like, "Don't play with us, we know what we saw." Though nothing was confirmed, the images were enough to ignite further speculation. First the chain, now the studio. "Kirk can't keep himself out of trouble," one user wrote. And the comment section erupted with laughing emojis, angry emojis, and endless debates. Rashida, tired of the whispers, finally decided to address the issue in her own way. During an Instagram live, she appeared composed, but her eyes betrayed exhaustion. "Look," she told her followers, "y'all see stuff online, y'all assume the worst. But I need people to understand, not everything is what it seems." Despite her attempt to downplay the drama, the comments section lit up with questions she refused to answer directly. "So is that Kirk's chain or not? Why Jasmine wearing it? Sis, blink twice if you done with Kirk." The live only deepened the mystery, as fans interpreted her calm tone as a sign that she was hiding her true feelings. Behind closed doors, the tension between Kirk and Rashida hit a breaking point. One evening, voices echoed through their home as the two clashed. "You're embarrassing me again," Rashida shouted, her voice cracking with fury. "Every time I think we've moved past the lies, something else pops up." Kirk, pacing the room, shot back, I didn't give her the chain. Maybe she's playing games. Maybe somebody gave it to her, just to stir all this up." Rashida folded her arms, glaring at him. "Then why does it look so real? Why does it always come back to you and her?" Her words cut deep, and Kirk could only rub his temples, frustrated, knowing he had no clear answer. The city of Atlanta thrived on drama, and this scandal quickly became the talk of the town. Barbershops, salons, and cafes buzzed with heated debates. "Man, Kirk messy," one barber said as his clients nodded. "Ain't no way Jasmine just magically got that chain." A customer interrupted. "Nah, I think she just clout chasing. Kirk probably ain't touched her in years." Everyone had a theory, and nobody was backing down. The family was left divided, not just in their own home, but in the court of public opinion, where every stranger felt entitled to weigh in on their pain. As days passed, Jasmine finally broke her silence. She posted a photo of herself on Instagram, her lips glossed, her eyes staring directly into the camera. And the chain, front and center. No caption, no explanation, just the chain sparkling under soft lighting. Within minutes, the post racked up tens of thousands of likes and comments. Fans flooded the thread with fire emojis, snake emojis, and endless speculation. "Oh, she bold," one user wrote. "She really taunting Rashida now." The silence of words but loudness of the image sent a clear message. Jasmine wasn't backing down. And if anything, she was leaning into the chaos. The ripple effects were unstoppable. Kirk's phone rang non-stop with calls from friends, business partners, and even church members asking what was going on. "Man, you gotta get ahead of this," one longtime friend advised. "The longer you let Jasmine control the story, the worse it's gone." But Kirk, caught between anger and despair, couldn't figure out his next move. Should he deny everything, confront Jasmine publicly, or stay silent and hope it all blew over? None of the options seemed safe, and with Rashida's trust crumbling again, he knew the chain wasn't just metal and diamonds anymore, it was a ticking time bomb threatening to destroy everything he had left. The tension only grew sharper the next morning when Kirk's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It was a picture of Jasmine, once again wearing the chain. But this time she was smiling at the camera as if daring him to respond. Underneath the photo was a short message. "Remember whose side you used to be on." Kirk's hands trembled as he read it, his mind racing with questions. Was Jasmine trying to blackmail him, or was she simply taunting him to push him further into chaos? He quickly deleted the photo, but Rashida had already caught a glimpse of the notification on his lock screen. "What was that?" she asked sharply, her eyes narrowing. Kirk shook his head. Nothing important, but the damage was done. Her suspicion had grown deeper. Out in the streets, fans were organizing their own version of detective work. Entire Twitter threads were dedicated to analyzing Jasmine's motives, with some claiming she was setting up Kirk for revenge. One user wrote, "Y'all don't see it. Jasmine waited years for this moment. She knew the chain would set off a bomb in that household." Others, however, painted Jasmine as the victim, suggesting that Kirk had promised her something in the past, and she was finally exposing him for who he really was. Emotions ran high, and the family was left divided not only within their walls, but across the fandoms that refused to stop debating. Rashida's closest friend, Carly Red, decided she had seen enough. She pulled up to Rashida's boutique, slammed her car door, and marched inside. "Girl, you cannot keep letting him play you like this," Carly exclaimed, her voice echoing through the shop. Rashida tried to keep calm, folding clothes and avoiding her friend's piercing gaze. "Carly, I don't even know the full story yet," she muttered. But Carly wasn't having it. "The full story. Everybody knows the story. Rashida, Jasmine got your man's chain around her neck. What else you need?" Rashida finally dropped the clothes in her hands and sighed heavily. I don't want to believe he's dragged me back into this mess." Their conversation turned into a heated back and forth, with Carly pushing for confrontation and Rashida clinging to whatever hope she had left. While the women debated, Jasmine was seen out in Atlanta, strutting through Lenox Mall with the chain still shining brightly. Paparazzi caught her laughing with friends, seemingly unbothered by the storm raging around her. "Y'all really think I care what they say?" she was overheard telling her circle. "They been painting me the villain for years. If the chain got them shook, then let them stay shook." Her words were like gasoline on the fire, and gossip blogs wasted no time publishing the quote under headlines that screamed, "Jasmine claps back, refuses to bow to Rashida." Kirk, meanwhile, found himself cornered by his own family. At a Sunday dinner, his mother finally confronted him. "Boy, you better tell me the truth," she demanded, her voice stern and filled with disappointment. "Did you give that girl your chain?" Kirk slammed his fork down in frustration. "Ma, no. I don't know how she got it, I swear." His mother shook her head, unconvinced. "The family was left divided, and you put us all in this position. You better fix it before it ruins everything." Her words lingered in the air like a warning bell, and Kirk knew his time to resolve the situation was running out. The next twist came when a fan claimed to have sold the chain to Jasmine through a pawn shop. On Facebook, the fan posted, "That chain been out there. I sold it months ago. Jasmine probably bought it." While some fans clung to the story as a lifeline for Kirk's innocence, others dismissed it as a desperate cover-up. "Nice try," one user replied, "but Kirk was literally seen with it weeks before. Stop lying to save him." The conflicting stories only deepened the mystery, making the scandal harder to untangle. As the drama swirled, Rashida decided to confront Jasmine directly. Pulling up her phone, she dialed Jasmine's number with trembling hands. When Jasmine answered, her voice dripped with confidence. Well, what do I owe this call to?" Rashida wasted no time. "You know exactly why I'm calling," she snapped. "Why are you wearing Kirk's chain?" Jasmine chuckled softly. "Maybe because it looks good on me. Maybe because it was mine all along. Or maybe because your husband can't let go." Rashida's heart pounded as Jasmine's words hit like daggers. "You're playing with my family, Jasmine," Rashida growled. "And I promise you, I won't let this slide." Jasmine's response was chilling. "Oh sweetheart, I'm not playing. I'm just reminding you that you're not the only queen in Atlanta." The call ended abruptly, leaving Rashida shaking with rage. The fallout from the call sent ripples through both women's circles. Rashida confided in her team that she felt Jasmine was deliberately trying to humiliate her. "She wants to break me down in front of everybody," Rashida admitted, her voice heavy with exhaustion. Meanwhile, Jasmine's friends hyped her up, cheering her for standing her ground against a woman they felt had always looked down on her. "You showed her, girl," one friend laughed. "She'll never forget that call." Jasmine smirked, sipping her drink, knowing her every move was only pulling her deeper into the spotlight. Atlanta's gossip train didn't slow down. Rumors spread that Jasmine was planning to release a tell-all interview, where she would detail her history with Kirk and expose secrets that had never come to light. Fans speculated wildly about what she might reveal, with one blogger writing, "If Jasmine spills, it could end Kirk and Rashida for good." The possibility of more bombs dropping kept everyone glued to their screens, refreshing constantly for the next twist. And with Jasmine still flaunting the chain in public, the scandal showed no signs of cooling down. The whispers around Atlanta were no longer whispers, they had become a roar, echoing from every corner of the city. The chain had transformed into more than a piece of jewelry. It was now a weapon, a symbol of betrayal, and a constant reminder of the cracks that had never fully healed in Kirk and Rashida's marriage. Every time Jasmine stepped out with it, fans grew more convinced that she was sending a message. A message loud enough to shatter homes, friendships, and reputations. And the scariest part for Kirk was that he had no control over the narrative. Jasmine was holding the spotlight, and she seemed to be enjoying every second of it. One night, as Kirk sat alone in his studio, the walls closing in, he replayed the last conversation he had with Jasmine before this storm erupted. It was months ago, late at night, and she had walked into the studio with that same sly smile. "You think you can just cut me off like I never existed?" she had asked, her voice laced with venom. Kirk had tried to brush her off, insisting that he had moved on, but Jasmine's words had stayed with him. "One day, I'll remind the world who I am to you." Now, staring at the headlines plastered across his phone screen, Kirk realized she was making good on that promise. His chest tightened as he whispered to himself, "She really ain't letting this go." Rashida, meanwhile, was torn between heartbreak and fury. She tried to focus on her business, smiling for customers and keeping her public image polished, but behind closed doors she was unraveling. Late one evening, she sat at her vanity, staring at her reflection. "How many times do I have to go through this?" she muttered, her voice cracking. Her phone buzzed again with another notification, another fan tagging her under Jasmine's new post. She opened it, and there it was, Jasmine in a fitted dress, chain glistening, captioned simply with the word Queen. Rashida threw her phone across the room, tears spilling down her cheeks. "She's mocking me," she whispered, shaking her head. And Kirk's silence is only proving her right. The public pressure began to weigh heavily on Kirk's children. At school, whispers followed them through hallways. Classmates teased, cruelly imitating Jasmine's Instagram post and asking questions no child should have to answer. One of his sons broke down at dinner, slamming his fists on the table. "Why can't you just tell the truth, Dad? Everyone's laughing at us." Kirk's face hardened, but deep down he felt the guilt eating at him. "Son, I promise you, I didn't give her that chain," he insisted, but his words sounded hollow even to his own ears. The family was left divided, and no matter how much Kirk tried to reassure them, his children's eyes were filled with doubt. As days passed, Jasmine began receiving offers from gossip blogs and media outlets, all begging for her side of the story. One major platform reached out, offering her a prime interview slot. Her friends urged her to take it. "Girl, you'll break the internet if you speak your truth," one friend told her. Jasmine leaned back in her chair, sipping on her drink, her eyes gleaming with ambition. "Maybe it's time," she replied. "They've been painting me as the villain for years. Let me show them the receipts." Her words sent chills down the spines of everyone around her. Jasmine had been quiet for too long, and if she really did have proof, the fallout could be catastrophic. Rumors of the upcoming interviews spread quickly, sparking a fresh wave of panic for Kirk and Rashida. Kirk's phone buzzed nonstop with calls from industry peers warning him, "Bro, if she goes public, you done? You gotta shut this down." Kirk, frustrated and exhausted, snapped, "How am I supposed to shut her down when she clearly wants war?" The room went silent, and for the first time, Kirk admitted out loud what everyone else already suspected: Jasmine wasn't playing games anymore. She wanted control, and she wasn't going to stop until she got it. Rashida, unwilling to sit back, decided to take action of her own. She reached out to her inner circle of women who had stood by her through every scandal. They gathered at her boutique late at night, the air thick with tension. "I can't let her do this to me again," Rashida confessed, her voice trembling. "She's dragging my name, my family, my kids." And Kirk just stands there like he don't know what's going on. Her friends, fiercely loyal, rallied around her. One of them leaned forward and said, "Then it's time for you to take back your power. Don't wait for Kirk to fix this. You confront Jasmine on your terms." The idea hung in the air, bold and dangerous, but exactly what Rashida needed to hear. By morning, the plan was already forming. Whispers spread that Rashida and Jasmine might come face to face at an upcoming charity gala in Atlanta. Fans were buzzing, bloggers were salivating, and the city seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. "If they show up at the same event, it's over," one fan tweeted. "Atlanta won't survive the fallout." The gala, once meant to raise funds for a community cause, suddenly became the potential stage for the most explosive showdown in reality TV history. Producers were already circling, cameras ready, eager to catch every glare, every whispered insult, and every ounce of tension. The night of the gala arrived, and the energy in the room was electric. Kirk and Rashida entered together, but the distance between them was obvious. Kirk's hand barely touched Rashida's back as they walked, and fans immediately noticed the lack of unity. Then, as if scripted by fate, Jasmine appeared at the top of the staircase. Her dress shimmered, her makeup flawless, and around her neck gleamed the chain. Gasps filled the room as cameras zoomed in, capturing the moment the three were finally in the same space. Whispers erupted. "She really wore the chain here. She bold, for real." Kirk's face turned pale, Rashida's jaw tightened, and Jasmine simply smirked, soaking in the chaos she had created. The first confrontation came not in words, but in glares. Rashida locked eyes with Jasmine from across the room, her fists clenched tightly at her sides. Jasmine raised her glass in mock salute, her lips curling into a smile. "Cheers, sweetheart," she mouthed silently. Rashida felt her blood boil, every ounce of restraint fighting to keep her from storming across the room. Kirk, sensing the storm, whispered, "Please, don't do this here." But Rashida shot him a look that could cut glass. "Don't you dare tell me how to react," she hissed. "You put me in this position." Kirk looked down, guilt consuming him, knowing she was right. As the gala continued, tension spread like a virus. Guests whispered, cameras hovered, and bloggers live-tweeted every second. Jasmine made her way to the dance floor, laughing with friends, her hand casually brushing the chain to ensure it caught the light. Rashida, finally unable to contain herself, marched across the floor, her heels clicking with determination. The room fell silent as the two women stood face to face. "Take it off," Rashida demanded, her voice low but firm. Jasmine tilted her head, smiling sweetly. "Take what off?" she asked innocently, though her eyes gleamed with mischief. "You know exactly what," Rashida snapped. "That chain, it doesn't belong to you." Jasmine leaned closer, her voice just loud enough for those nearby to hear. "Funny, it feels like it belongs to me more than it ever did to you." Gasps filled the air, and the room erupted with chatter. Cameras flashed, bloggers typed furiously, and fans online went wild as the first public showdown between Jasmine and Rashida played out in real time. Kirk, caught between the two women, tried to step in, but his words were drowned out by the noise of the crowd. The chain glittered under the chandeliers, the ultimate symbol of betrayal, defiance, and pride. Jasmine refused to back down. Rashida refused to walk away, and Kirk stood frozen, realizing that no matter what happened next, his world would never be the same again. Under the golden glow of the chandeliers at the Atlanta Gala, the air grew tense enough to cut with a knife. Every eye was locked on the silent war playing out between Rashida and Jasmine. The chain sparkled. The crowd gasped, and for a few long seconds, no one dared to breathe. It wasn't just about jewelry anymore, it was about history, pride, and the kind of betrayal that cuts deeper than any blade. Rashida's voice cracked through the silence like thunder. You think this is a game, Jasmine? You walk around with that chain like it means nothing, but you know exactly what you're doing. Jasmine, unflinching, tilted her chin higher. What I'm doing, she replied coolly, is reminding everyone that Kirk ain't the man you paint him to be. The crowd erupted with whispers, and phones shot up into the air, recording every second. Kirk stepped forward, his palms sweating, his voice trembling as he tried to calm the storm. Enough, he pleaded, his voice breaking. This ain't the time or place. But neither woman moved. Rashida's eyes burned with anger. Jasmine's lips curled in defiance, and Kirk was trapped between them, realizing no amount of words could erase the years of lies, secrets, and heartbreak that had led to this very moment. Flashes from cameras blinded him as he whispered to himself, Lord, not again. The fallout was instant. Within hours, the confrontation dominated headlines. Gossip blogs replayed the video on loop. Captions screaming Rashida confronts Jasmine in chain scandal and love and hip-hop queens clash in Atlanta. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided. Half the internet praised Rashida for finally standing her ground, while the other half celebrated Jasmine for daring to stand toe-to-toe with her rival. Hashtags like hashtag chain war and hashtag team Rasheeda versus hashtag team Jasmine trended worldwide, turning a local scandal into a global spectacle. Kirk, watching the chaos unfold from his phone, buried his face in his hands. This is out of control, he muttered, his voice breaking. Behind closed doors, Rashida's rage turned into heartbreak. She sat in her bedroom, mascara streaked down her cheeks, whispering to herself, how many more times do I have to pay for your mistakes, Kirk? She replayed Jasmine's smirk in her mind, that look of triumph that cut her deeper than any insult. Kirk entered quietly, his shoulders slumped, his voice soft. Baby, please, don't let her get to you. Rashida snapped her head up, her eyes blazing. Don't let her get to me. She's walking around with your chain, embarrassing me in front of the whole world. And you stand here telling me not to let her get to me? Kirk, you did this. You let this happen. Kirk's chest tightened, his voice trembling. I didn't give her that chain, he insisted. But the conviction in his tone was gone, replaced by the weight of his own guilt. Rashida shook her head, her voice breaking. I don't even know what's real anymore. While their home was unraveling, Jasmine's world was buzzing. Her followers skyrocketed. Her DMs flooded with offers from magazines, podcasts, and gossip shows begging her to tell her side of the story. Her best friend laughed as they scrolled through the endless requests. Girl, you the hottest name in Atlanta right now. Everybody wanna know what's next. Jasmine leaned back on her couch, the chain dangling carelessly around her neck, and smirked. What's next? She said slowly. Is me finally telling the truth? Her words dripped with promise, and her friend's eyes widened. You really gon' do it? Jasmine nodded. Oh, I'm gon' do it. And when I do, Kirk and Rashida gon' wish they never tried to play me. The anticipation for Jasmine's rumored tell-all interview became unbearable. Fans speculated endlessly about what she might reveal. Some said she had photos, others whispered about voicemails, and a few even claimed she had bank receipts tying Kirk directly to her. One gossip site teased. Sources close to Jasmine say she has enough evidence to blow the lid off Kirk's carefully crafted image. Kirk's phone rang nonstop with calls from industry friends urging him to prepare. Man, you better get your story straight, one warned. If she got receipts, it's over for you. Kirk, pacing his living room, muttered, she ain't got nothing. But deep down, he wasn't so sure. Rashida tried to hold her head high, but the cracks showed. At a business meeting for her clothing line, she broke down mid-presentation, her voice quivering as she excused herself. In the bathroom, she stared into the mirror, her reflection blurry through tears. I can't keep living like this, she whispered. Her assistant knocked softly on the door. Rashida, are you okay? She wiped her tears quickly and forced a smile as she stepped out. But inside, she was crumbling. Every glance, every whisper, every notification on her phone felt like a dagger. Jasmine wasn't just flaunting the chain, she was flaunting control over her life. The city of Atlanta thrived on drama, and soon, the scandal became a stage for everyone to insert themselves. Carly Red went live on Instagram, her voice animated as she declared, "I told y'all, Kirk ain't no good. Rashida deserves better." Meanwhile, Scrappy and Bambi debated the situation over dinner, their words dripping with judgment. "Man, Kirk messy," Scrappy said, shaking his head. "If he really let Jasmine get that chain, he done for real." Bambi raised an eyebrow. Or maybe Jasmine just playing smart. You know how these girls move. Their conversation, recorded by a nosy bystander, ended up on the blogs, fueling the fire even more. Everyone had an opinion, and nobody was holding back. The pressure finally boiled over when Rashida decided to confront Jasmine one more time, this time privately. She arranged for a meeting at a quiet restaurant on the outskirts of the city, away from cameras and fans. When Jasmine arrived, she strutted in with confidence, the chain sparkling proudly. Rashida sat at the table, her hands trembling under the surface, but her voice steady. "Why are you doing this to me?" she asked, her eyes locked on Jasmine. Jasmine leaned back, smirking. "To you, no sweetheart. This ain't about you. This about him, your husband, the one who promised me things he could never deliver." Rashida's heart sank as Jasmine continued, her voice sharp. "You want to be mad at me, but it's him you should have left years ago." The words cut deep, and Rashida fought back tears. "You don't get to break my family apart," she whispered. Jasmine's eyes gleamed. "Your family was broken long before I showed up." Kirk, unaware of the secret meeting, sat alone in his studio, drowning in his thoughts. The weight of his past mistakes pressed down on him, suffocating him. He scrolled through old photos on his phone, him and Rashida smiling on vacations. Family gatherings filled with laughter, moments that now felt like lies. "How did I get here?" he whispered. The sound of his own voice echoed in the empty room. He wanted to believe he could fix it, but the truth was staring him in the face. Every decision, every secret, every lie had led them here, and there was no turning back. The breaking point came days later, when Jasmine finally confirmed her tell-all interview. A major gossip network released a promo clip, her voice teasing in the background. "Everybody want to know the truth about me and Kirk. Well, I think it's time y'all heard it from me." The clip showed flashes of her adjusting the chain, sipping wine, and smirking at the camera. Fans exploded, social media went into overdrive, and Kirk's world collapsed. Rashida, watching the promo, felt her chest tighten. "This is it," she whispered. "This is how it ends." But as the city held its breath, waiting for Jasmine to spill every secret, a deeper question lingered in the air. Was she telling the truth, or was this just another move in her game? Kirk paced his home, his family fractured, his reputation shredded, and his marriage hanging by a thread. Rashida, torn between anger and heartbreak, stood at the edge of a decision she had avoided for years. And Jasmine, basking in the spotlight, prepared to unleash words that could destroy everything once and for all. The chain wasn't just jewelry anymore, it was a ticking bomb. And the explosion was about to rock Atlanta like never before. The promo clip of Jasmine's tell-all had barely aired for 60 seconds before Atlanta exploded into chaos. Phones buzzed, group chats lit up, and gossip blogs stamped the teaser across every headline. Jasmine's voice in that sultry tone, the chain glinting at her throat as she whispered, "It's time y'all heard it from me," became the most replayed soundbite in the city. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided before a single detail had even been shared. Kirk watched the promo on mute, his stomach twisting into knots, while Rashida sat frozen across the room, her face pale as though the blood had drained out of her. For years she had fought to protect her family name, to build something stable, but Jasmine's smirk in that clip told her one brutal truth. Everything was about to unravel. The streets of Atlanta were alive with debate. In salons, barbershops, and corner stores, everyone had something to say. "She bout to expose Kirk for real," one barber announced as his clients nodded. "I told y'all, he never let that girl go." Across town, a woman in a salon chair shouted, "Nah, Jasmine just chasing clout. She don't got nothing on them." The arguments grew so loud that even people who had never cared about Kirk or Rashida were now pulled into the frenzy. Hashtags multiplied. Hashtag Jasmine V's, RASHEEDA. Hashtag Chain Truth. Hashtag Team Kirk. The anticipation for Jasmine's big reveal turned into a fever pitch, with fans begging for leaks and clips. One blogger even tweeted, "Atlanta ain't sleeping until Jasmine talks." Rashida spent her nights restless, pacing the floor of her bedroom. Her mind replayed every time Kirk had promised her he was done with Jasmine, every vow he had made, every tear she had cried. She thought of her children, how the scandal had already scarred them. And she whispered to herself, if she really tells everything, my family won't survive. Kirk tried to reassure her, but his words fell flat. She bluffing, babe, she don't got nothing real. Rashida turned to him, her eyes sharp. You don't know that. You don't know what she kept. Kirk fell silent, and that silence spoke louder than anything he could have said. As the countdown to Jasmine's interview ticked away, the tension reached unbearable levels. On the morning of the broadcast, blogs posted countdown clocks. Fans live-streamed their reactions, and Atlanta's streets felt eerily quiet as if the whole city was waiting to exhale. Jasmine, meanwhile, sat in the studio, her makeup flawless, the chain positioned perfectly for maximum attention. The host leaned in, his tone dripping with curiosity. Jasmine, the world is watching. What do you have to tell us tonight? Jasmine smiled, pausing for effect, her fingers brushing the chain. What I have to tell, she said slowly, is the truth about Kirk Frost, the truth about what he promised me, and the truth about why I'll never let him erase me. The broadcast sent shockwaves through the city. Jasmine claimed Kirk had secretly continued to see her long after he swore things were over. She hinted at late-night calls, hidden gifts, and whispered confessions of love. This chain, she declared, holding it up to the camera, wasn't stolen. It wasn't borrowed, it was given to me. A reminder that no matter how much he tries to deny it, I'll always be a part of his story. The audience gasped. Fans online screamed in disbelief, and within minutes, clips of Jasmine's words went viral. Some viewers cried out in anger, others cheered her boldness, and all across Atlanta, emotions ran high. Rashida watched the broadcast from her living room, her hands trembling. Every word Jasmine spoke felt like a blade. She wanted to scream, to throw something, but instead she sat in stunned silence, tears streaming down her face. Kirk tried to defend himself, pacing the room. She lying, she twisting everything, he insisted. But Rashida's eyes were locked on the screen. Then why does it sound so real? She asked quietly. Kirk had no answer, and his silence echoed louder than any denial. The family was left divided, the children hiding in their rooms as their parents' voices rose in anguish. The public fallout was immediate. Kirk's business deals were threatened, his phone filled with angry messages, and his reputation was shredded. Rashida's fans flooded her comments with support, urging her to walk away. You deserve better, sis, one wrote. Leave him and don't look back. Jasmine, on the other hand, basked in the spotlight. Her follower count doubled overnight. Brands reached out for partnerships, and she strutted through Atlanta with newfound power. At a downtown club, she was greeted with cheers, fans snapping photos and shouting, "Tell it, Jasmine." She raised her glass, the chain glinting, and declared, "I told y'all, I always tell the truth." But behind her confident exterior, Jasmine knew the storm wasn't over. She sat with her closest friend later that night, confessing, "I might have pushed too far. Kirk ain't gonna let this slide." Her friend leaned in, whispering, "Then you better be ready for what comes next." Jasmine nodded, her smirk fading. Deep down, she knew Kirk was cornered, and a man cornered is the most dangerous of all. Kirk, in a fit of desperation, reached out to Jasmine directly. He showed up unannounced at her apartment, pounding on the door until she finally answered. Her expression was calm, almost amused. "Look who decided to show up," she teased. Kirk's voice cracked with fury. "Why you lying on TV? Why you trying to ruin me?" Jasmine leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "Lying, Kirk. I didn't even tell half of it." His eyes widened, his pulse racing. "You better stop this before you regret it." Jasmine smirked, unfazed. "Regret? The only one regretting anything here is you." She slammed the door in his face, leaving him standing there, humiliated and enraged. Rashida found out about Kirk's visit to Jasmine when a fan snapped a picture of him outside her building and posted it online. The image went viral within minutes, captions screaming, "Kirk runs back to Jasmine after tell-all." Rashida confronted him that night, her voice trembling with rage. "You went to her, after everything she just said about us. After everything you put me through, you still went to her." Kirk raised his hands, desperate. "I went to shut her down, not to be with her." Rashida shook her head, tears streaming. "You'll never change. You'll never stop making me the fool." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her, leaving Kirk alone in the wreckage of his lies. Atlanta became a battlefield, with fans splitting into warring camps. #Team Rashida painted Jasmine as a manipulative villain, while #Team Jasmine portrayed Rashida as a woman in denial. Every move, every post, every sighting was dissected. When Rashida appeared without her wedding ring at a public event, Fans speculated she was finally done. When Jasmine posted a cryptic caption reading, "Truth always wins," the internet erupted again. Kirk, meanwhile, faded from public view, hiding from the spotlight that once adored him. Yet the story refused to die. New rumors surfaced, daily claims of secret recordings, hidden bank accounts, even whispers of another woman in the mix. The scandal grew like wildfire, consuming everyone in its path. Rashida tried to stay strong, but the cracks showed. Jasmine thrived on the chaos, but even she felt the weight of the war she had ignited. Kirk, lost in the shadows, struggled to hold on to the fragments of a life slipping through his fingers. And through it all, the chain remained. The chain that once symbolized Kirk's success had become the emblem of betrayal, defiance, and pride. Worn by Jasmine, resented by Rashida, and haunting Kirk, it gleamed brighter than ever, mocking the lives it had destroyed. The city of Atlanta could not look away, for the drama was far from over. The truth had been told, but the scars it left behind were just beginning to show. Rashida's footsteps echoed against the pavement as she stormed out of the house that night, her breath sharp, her heart pounding. The cameras weren't there. No fans, no entourage, just her in the rawest moment of her life. She slid into her car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles whitened, and whispered to herself, "I'm done." But the words hung in the air like smoke, uncertain, fragile, as though part of her still clung to the hope that Kirk would finally change. Meanwhile, Kirk stood in the doorway, watching the taillights fade into the night. And for the first time, the silence of the empty house felt unbearable. Across town, Jasmine lounged in her apartment, sipping wine as her phone buzzed non-stop with notifications. Every blog, every gossip page, every fan was talking about her. She scrawled with a smirk, relishing the power she now held. "Look at this," she said to her friend, holding up the phone. "I'm the headline, I'm the story, I'm the one they can't stop talking about." Her friend grinned, but then asked cautiously, "But Jasmine, what's the endgame? You really think Kirk and Rashida gon' survive this?" Jasmine paused, her smirk fading just slightly. "That's the point," she said quietly. "They're not supposed to survive it. Not together, anyway." The city of Atlanta buzzed with speculation. People dissected every angle of the scandal as if it were their own family drama. One podcast host declared, "This ain't just reality TV no more, this is real life." And Jasmine just flipped the whole game upside down. Another radio show debated whether Rashida should finally walk away. Callers flooded the lines with passionate takes. She'd been embarrassed too many times. She needs to leave him versus she built her whole life with Kirk. She can't just throw it away. Emotions ran high, and the family was left divided even among strangers who had never met them. Rashida found herself spiraling. She stayed at a friend's house for a few days, avoiding Kirk's calls and ignoring the flood of messages on her phone. Late one night, she scrolled through social media, only to see Jasmine post another photo, the chain gleaming, her caption reading, "I don't chase, I attract." The words burned into Rashida's chest like fire. She threw her phone onto the bed and whispered, "She's taunting me. She wants me broken." Her friend, sitting nearby, put a hand on her shoulder. "Don't let her win. You're stronger than both of them put together." Rashida shook her head, tears falling. "But how many times can I fight the same battle?" Kirk, on the other hand, spiraled in his own way. He buried himself in the studio, trying to drown out the noise with music. But every lyric he wrote felt hollow. Every beat reminded him of what he was losing. His phone buzzed with another notification. Jasmine had gone live. Against his better judgment, he clicked in. There she was, smiling into the camera, the chain catching the light as thousands of viewers flooded the chat. "I didn't come here to lie," she told her audience, her voice smooth and confident. "I came here to tell the truth. And if that truth hurts, maybe it's because it's finally time y'all stop believing in fairy tales." The comments exploded, some calling her brave, others calling her evil, but Jasmine basked in it all. Kirk slammed his phone down, his chest heaving. "She's destroying everything," he muttered. As the drama unfolded publicly, private conversations behind closed doors added fuel to the fire. Producers from Love and Hip Hop reached out to both women, dangling the promise of cameras ready to capture the drama. This would be the biggest storyline of the season, one producer promised. "The world wants to see this play out." Rashida rejected the idea immediately, but Jasmine entertained it. "Maybe it's time they see the truth in real time," she teased, leaving the producers salivating at the thought of ratings gold. The idea of their personal pain being packaged into entertainment once again left Rashida furious. "They want to profit off my misery," she told her friend, "and Jasmine's fine with it because all she cares about is the spotlight." The kids weren't spared from the storm either. One of Kirk's sons confronted him at home, his voice trembling with anger. Everybody at school laughing at me. They saying Mom should leave you. They saying Jasmine winning. Why you keep doing this to us? Kirk tried to hug him, but the boy pulled away, his eyes filled with betrayal. You don't even care how it hurts us. You only care about yourself. Kirk stood frozen, his heart breaking, realizing his mistakes weren't just haunting him, they were scarring his children. Rashida eventually agreed to sit down with Kirk, not for reconciliation, but for answers. They met in a quiet corner of their home, the tension thick as smoke. Tell me the truth, Rashida demanded, her voice low but firm. Did you give her that chain? Kirk buried his face in his hands, his voice cracking. I don't even remember. It might have been years ago, back when everything was messy. I don't know how she still got it. Rashida's face hardened, her eyes filling with tears. So you're telling me it is yours, all this time, all these lies, and you can't even admit the truth until now. Kirk reached out, but she pulled away. Don't touch me. Every time I let you back in, you remind me why I shouldn't. Jasmine, meanwhile, prepared for her next move. She hinted at releasing proof of her claim, screenshots, recordings, maybe even photos. Fans speculated endlessly, some convinced she was bluffing, others certain she had the evidence to end Kirk and Rashida once and for all. At a small gathering with her friends, Jasmine pulled out her phone and scrolled through old messages, smirking. Oh, I got receipts, she said confidently, and when I drop them, Atlanta ain't never gonna be the same. Her friends gasped, urging her to release them immediately, but Jasmine held back. Timing is everything. Let them sweat a little more. The tension between the three reached a boiling point when they all ended up at the same event once, again a charity concert downtown. The crowd buzzed when they spotted Jasmine first, the chain glittering under the stage lights. Minutes later, Rashida walked in, her head held high but her jaw tight. Finally, Kirk appeared, his face weary, his shoulders heavy. The three avoided each other at first, but the energy in the room was electric. Everyone waiting for the inevitable collision. Fans whispered, bloggers prepared their cameras, and the stage was set for another showdown. When their eyes finally met across the room, time seemed to stop. Rashida's glare burned into Jasmine, who responded with a slow, deliberate smile. Kirk, caught in the middle, looked as though he might crumble under the weight of their stares. The crowd shifted, sensing the storm about to break. Whispers turned into gasps as Rashida began walking toward Jasmine, her heels clicking like gunshots against the floor. Jasmine stood her ground, lifting her chin, the chain sparkling defiantly. Kirk tried to step in, but his voice was drowned out by the noise of the crowd. Rashida stopped inches from Jasmine, her voice low but fierce. You think this chain makes you powerful? You think it makes you important? Jasmine smirked, her reply dripping with venom. No, Rashida, what makes me powerful is the truth that chain represents. You're the one who's scared of it, not me. Gasps rippled through the room, fans raising their phones to capture every second. Kirk reached out, desperate to stop them, but his voice cracked as he shouted, please, not here, not like this. His words fell on deaf ears. The cameras flashed, the fans screamed, and the chain gleamed brighter than ever as the war between Jasmine and Rashida reached its peak. The city of Atlanta held its breath, knowing that whatever happened next would leave scars too deep to heal. The room fell silent as Rashida and Jasmine stood face to face, the chain between them shining like a cursed object that carried all the weight of their history. Flashes from cameras burst around them, fans whispering, bloggers typing furiously. The tension so thick it felt like the air might crack. Rashida's chest rose and fell with anger, her voice trembling but sharp. You've embarrassed my family for the last time. Jasmine tilted her head, unbothered, her lips curling into a mocking smile. Your family embarrassed itself, sweetie. I'm just the reminder. The words cut deep, and the crowd gasped as if they too felt the sting. Kirk stepped forward, desperation in his eyes, his voice hoarse. Stop this, please, both of you. Don't let the world see us like this. But his plea only made the moment heavier, as though the world needed to see exactly this. Rashida clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms, her entire body shaking. You wear that chain like it makes you somebody, she spat, her eyes locked on Jasmine. But it only proves you'll always be second. No matter how loud you scream, you'll never be me. The room erupted in gasps, fans holding their breath, knowing words like that could ignite a firestorm. Jasmine's smirk widened, her eyes glinting with fury. Second, honey, I was first. Don't forget, while you were busy pretending to have the perfect marriage, Kirk was busy promising me the world. And this chain, it's proof I'll always be the truth he tries to hide. She tapped the chain lightly, and the gesture felt like a slap across Rashida's face. Kirk's knees weakened as he looked between the two women, realizing the confrontation he feared most had finally arrived. The crowd's energy surged, the cameras recorded every second, and Atlanta's gossip machine roared to life before the words had even finished echoing. In that moment, Kirk whispered to himself, "God, please, not again." But there was no stopping it. Rashida lunged closer, her voice breaking into a growl. "You want attention? Jasmine, congratulations, you got it. But when the dust settles, you're nothing but a desperate side piece." Jasmine leaned in until their foreheads nearly touched, her whisper loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "And yet here you are, shaking over me." The crowd gasped louder than ever, some screaming, some cheering, some crying out, "Fight, fight." Security stepped forward nervously, unsure whether to intervene, as Kirk held out his arms, begging, "Please, don't do this in front of everybody. You're letting them win." But the truth was, the battle had already gone public long ago. This was just the climax. Rashida finally pulled back, tears burning in her eyes, her voice cracking as she screamed, "Take the damn chain off." Jasmine, with chilling calm, unclasped the chain, dangled it in the air for the cameras to see, and then placed it back around her neck with deliberate slowness. "No," she said simply, "because this chain is mine." The room exploded. Bloggers rushed to upload the footage. Fans screamed, security swarmed, and Kirk collapsed into a chair, burying his face in his hands. By the time the confrontation ended, Atlanta was on fire figuratively and nearly literally. Within minutes, the video went viral, pulling millions of views in hours. Hashtags trended globally. Hashtag Chain Queen. Hashtag RASHEEDAV's Jasmine. Hashtag Kirk Exposed. The comments were merciless. Rashida needs to walk away. Jasmine a savage. She won. Kirk don't deserve either of them. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high, and the family was left more divided than ever. Back at home, Rashida broke down completely. She slammed the bedroom door, her sobs echoing through the house as she ripped photos off the wall, her anger uncontrollable. Kirk stood in the doorway, helpless, tears streaming down his own face. "Please, Ra, I didn't mean for any of this. I swear, I never thought she'd go this far." Rashida whirled on him, her voice raw with pain. "You gave her the power to destroy me, Kirk. You let her live in the shadows of our marriage, and now she's laughing in my face. I can't do this anymore." Her words felt final, and Kirk collapsed to his knees, clutching her hands, begging, "Please, don't leave me. Not like this. Not because of her." Rashida yanked her hands away, whispering coldly, "It's already done." Meanwhile, Jasmine basked in her victory. She hosted a small party at her apartment, her friends cheering her on, raising glasses of champagne. To Jasmine, one toasted, "The Queen of Atlanta." Laughter filled the room as Jasmine raised her glass, the chain glittering at her throat. "I told y'all," she said with a sly grin, "truth always wins." But when the laughter died down and the crowd dispersed, Jasmine sat alone by the window, staring at the city lights. She touched the chain gently, her smirk fading. "What now?" she whispered to herself. Because deep down, even in triumph, she felt the weight of the war she had started, a war that had no clear end. Producers circled like vultures, eager to capture the aftermath on camera. One executive called Jasmine directly. "We want to film this. You, Rashida, Kirk." The ratings would be through the roof. Jasmine laughed, but there was hesitation in her voice. "You really think Rashida gonna agree to that?" The producer smirked on the other end. "With the way this is playing out, she won't have a choice. America wants to see blood, and we're ready to give it to them." Jasmine hung up, her heart pounding. Realizing she was no longer just in control of a scandal, she was in control of a spectacle. But Rashida wasn't ready to be anyone's entertainment. She met with her lawyer quietly, away from cameras, her voice steady but her eyes heavy with sorrow. "I want options," she said firmly. "Options to protect myself, my kids, my business. I can't keep being dragged into this circus." The lawyer nodded, sliding papers across the desk. Kirk, unaware of the meeting, sat at home trying to piece together fragments of a broken marriage, replaying Jasmine's smirk and Rashida's final words. The city buzzed louder than ever, each side growing more ruthless. Fans clashed online. Families argued in living rooms. Strangers debated in public spaces. "It's bigger than them now," one blogger noted. This chain drama turned into a symbol of betrayal, loyalty, and survival. And everyone sees a piece of themselves in it. Atlanta pulsed with the scandal, unable to look away. And as night fell, Jasmine lay awake in bed, the chain resting on her nightstand. She stared at it, her reflection in the gold surface distorted, and whispered, "You started all this." Her phone buzzed with another notification, yet another blog post, another headline, but she ignored it, lost in thought. Across the city, Rashida sat alone in her car, staring into the night, whispering to herself, "Maybe this is the end." And Kirk, trapped in the middle of it all, knelt by his bed, praying through tears, "Please, God, give me one more chance." The chain glimmered in the dark, silent, powerful, and unyielding, the object at the heart of a storm that had consumed them all, a storm that showed no signs of ending. The city was still buzzing from the charity concert confrontation when the next wave of chaos hit. Overnight, Jasmine's live interview had been clipped, remixed, and spread across every platform imaginable. Her words, "This chain was given to me," played on loop like a broken record, sinking deeper into the hearts of fans who wanted nothing more than to pick a side. By morning, #ChainQueen was trending in 15 different cities, and radio hosts across Atlanta debated whether Jasmine was a villain or simply a woman reclaiming her truth. Kirk sat at his kitchen table, his phone face down, his head buried in his hands. "How did I let it get this far?" he muttered, his voice breaking. Across from him, Rashida sipped coffee in silence, her eyes swollen from crying. The distance between them felt colder than ever, like two strangers forced to share the same house. Meanwhile, Jasmine thrived on the chaos. She woke up to dozens of new brand offers, podcasts begging for her presence, and club promoters dangling fat checks just to have her show up wearing the chain. Her phone rang nonstop, and each time, her smirk grew wider. "I told y'all," she whispered to herself, standing in front of her mirror, the chain draped across her chest like a medal. "I was never going anywhere." But deep inside, a shadow of doubt flickered. For all the attention, all the praise, all the hate, she knew the chain tied her to Kirk in ways that could never truly free her. Still, she silenced the thought and leaned harder into her role. The Frost kids couldn't escape the storm. At school, whispers chased them down hallways, teachers awkwardly avoiding eye contact as students taunted them. One of Rashida's sons came home in tears, slamming his backpack onto the floor. "Why do they have to keep talking about her? Why do they have to talk about you and Dad, like we're some joke?" Rashida pulled him into her arms, her own tears falling. "Baby, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Kirk tried to comfort him too, but the boy pushed him away, muttering, "You're the reason everyone's laughing at us." Kirk's face crumpled, his heart breaking at the rejection. And Rashida simply stared at him, her eyes saying everything her lips didn't. The blogs fed the frenzy with new evidence daily. One posted blurry photos of Jasmine leaving what looked like Kirk's studio weeks earlier, the caption screaming, "Late night link up." Another claimed Jasmine had been spotted with Kirk's cousin, stirring rumors of betrayal within betrayal. Kirk's family started calling, his mother furious. "Boy, you better fix this. You embarrassing all of us." Kirk snapped back, "I'm trying, Ma." But she won't stop. His mother's voice cut him like a knife. "Maybe she won't stop because you gave her a reason not to." Rashida's inner circle rallied around her. Carly Red showed up at her boutique, her voice booming. "Girl, you cannot let Jasmine keep winning. You gotta shut her down." Rashida shook her head, exhausted. "I don't want to fight her. I just want peace." Carly scoffed. "Peace? With Jasmine? She ain't never letting this go until she burns your whole house down." Rashida's shoulders slumped, her voice cracking. "Then maybe it's time I walk away." The words lingered heavy in the air, and Carly grabbed her hand, whispering, "Don't let her take everything from you. Fight for what's yours." Behind the scenes, producers from Love and Hip Hop circled closer, offering Jasmine her own spin-off. "The people want your side, Jasmine," one told her over the phone. "You're the star now. We'll build a whole show around you." Jasmine grinned, twirling the chain between her fingers. "Maybe it's time Atlanta saw me without the filters." But her friend warned, "Careful, girl, the higher you climb, the harder you fall." Jasmine ignored the warning, convinced the world was finally seeing her worth. Rashida, however, began plotting her escape. She met quietly with her lawyer, her voice steady. "I need to protect my brand, my kids, my future. If this marriage is beyond saving, I need to know my options." The lawyer slid papers across the desk, and for the first time, divorce felt real. Rashida's chest tightened, tears filling her eyes, but she whispered, "Maybe this is the only way." The tension escalated further when Jasmine leaked screenshots. Late one night, her Instagram lit up with images of old text messages, allegedly from Kirk. "You know you my real one." One read. Another said, "When this all calms down, it's me and you forever." Fans exploded, some believing instantly, others accusing Jasmine of fabricating the receipts. Rashida saw the screenshots and collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. Kirk insisted, "Those are old. They don't mean nothing now." But Rashida's trust was shattered. "Nothing you say means anything anymore," she screamed, her voice echoing through the house. Atlanta buzzed even louder. On the radio, callers debated furiously. She lying? Those texts fake? Nah. Kirk been playing Rashida for years. Jasmine telling the truth. One caller summed it up. The chain ain't jewelry, it's evidence. And until it's gone, this war ain't never over. And then came the ultimate twist. Jasmine announced she had more recordings. Her Instagram story teased a blurred audio clip, Kirk's voice faint but recognizable. Whispering, "Don't tell nobody. Ra can't find out." Fans lost their minds. Blogs screamed, "Bombshell audio coming." Kirk panicked, pacing his studio, his heart racing. "She gonna ruin me completely." Rashida stared at him, her voice icy. "You already ruined yourself." The day Jasmine promised to drop the full recording, Atlanta nearly shut down. Fans crowded around their phones, waiting. Kirk begged Jasmine privately, sending messages, "Don't do this, please. I'll fix it." Jasmine posted a cryptic reply. Too late. The recording went live that night, Kirk's voice undeniable, promising Jasmine gifts, time, and love even after he had publicly denied her. The internet exploded. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided beyond repair. Rashida packed her bags that night, her tears soaking the floor as she whispered to her children, "We're leaving." Kirk fell to his knees, sobbing, "Please, Ra, don't do this. Don't let her win." But Rashida shook her head, her voice breaking. "She didn't win. You lost." She walked out, the door slamming behind her, leaving Kirk in an empty house filled with the ghosts of his choices. Jasmine celebrated, posting a final photo of herself, the chain glowing brighter than ever. Her caption simple, "Queen." Fans cheered, critics raged, and Atlanta burned with the story of a chain that had destroyed a family, a marriage, and a reputation. The chain was no longer just metal and diamonds, it was history, power, and pain, and it had done exactly what Jasmine wanted, left the world talking. The morning after Rashida walked out, the Frost household felt like a graveyard. Kirk sat on the couch surrounded by silence, the echoes of slammed doors still ringing in his ears. The chain scandal had torn through every corner of his life, his marriage, his children, his business, and now, he was left with nothing but regret. He scrolled through his phone, watching clip after clip of Jasmine's recordings being replayed across blogs, memes flooding Twitter, fans debating his downfall. One headline screamed, "Kirk Frost finished. Rashida gone. Jasmine crowned." Kirk buried his face in his hands, whispering, "How did I let it get this bad?" But the answer was already written in the glitter of that chain and the smirk on Jasmine's face. Rashida, meanwhile, moved into a hotel with her children, determined to shield them from the chaos. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring out the window, her heart heavy but her resolve firm. "We gon' be okay," she told her kids softly, stroking their hair. But when she was alone, her tears flowed freely. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Jasmine holding the chain up to the cameras, mocking her. Her phone buzzed non-stop with messages of support, fans, friends, even celebrities urging her to move on and reclaim her peace. One message from a fellow reality star read, "Sis, you stronger than this. Don't let them break you." Rashida wiped her tears, whispering, "I won't, not this time." Jasmine reveled in her newfound power. Club promoters lined up, her appearances selling out, her name hotter than ever. She walked into a downtown lounge one night, the chain sparkling, and the crowd erupted in cheers. "Queen Jasmine," they screamed, flashing phones in her face. She raised her glass and shouted, "To the truth." The room roared back, but deep inside, Jasmine felt the cracks forming. When the party ended and the crowd dispersed, she sat alone in the back seat of her car, staring at her reflection in the chain. For the first time, the glitter felt heavy. "Am I really winning?" she whispered. "Or am I just destroying?" Her driver glanced in the rearview mirror but said nothing. Jasmine quickly shook the thought away and posted another photo on Instagram, her smiling with the chain front and center. Captioned, "Can't break me." The business world began to turn against Kirk. Partnerships collapsed, sponsors pulled out, and his once steady streams of income dried up. One of his closest business associates told him bluntly, "Man, your name toxic right now. Nobody wanna be linked to you." Kirk slammed his fist against the table, his frustration boiling over. All this over a damn chain. But he knew it wasn't just the chain, it was the years of choices, the secrets, the lies, now all dragged into the light. He tried calling Rashida, leaving voicemail after voicemail. Please, RA, talk to me. Let me fix this. But her silence cut deeper than words ever could. The blogs pushed the scandal further, uncovering alleged old receipts, digging into Kirk's past, recycling every rumor they could find. Atlanta became obsessed. On morning radio shows, hosts joked cruelly, Kirk lost his wife to a necklace. Podcasts debated Jasmine's motives, some calling her a truth teller, others branding her manipulative. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided not only in their home but in the city itself, where everyone felt invested in their downfall. The Frost children felt the pressure mounting. One night, Rashida's oldest broke down, crying, "Mom, why does everyone hate Dad? Why can't this just stop?" Rashida hugged him tightly, her own tears falling. "It's not your fault, baby. None of this is your fault." But deep down, she knew the scars would last, the whispers would follow them. And no matter how much she tried, her children would never forget the way their family fell apart in front of the world. Jasmine, emboldened by the chaos, hinted at more bombs to drop. In an Instagram live, she teased, "Y'all think the texts and recordings were it? Nah, I got more. But I'll let them sweat a little longer." The comments exploded: fire emojis, snake emojis, endless speculation. Kirk, watching the live in horror, slammed his laptop shut, shouting, "She won't stop until I'm ruined." His friend tried to calm him down. "Bro, you gotta get ahead of this. Put your own story out there." But Kirk shook his head, defeated. "Nobody believes me anymore." She won. Rashida started rebuilding quietly. She poured her energy into her boutique, her brand, her kids, determined to rise from the ashes. Her fans rallied behind her, flooding her social media with love. One post of her smiling with her children went viral, captioned, "We rise above." Comments poured in. "Queen energy, strongest woman alive, leave the past behind." The support gave Rashida strength, though at night, when the lights were off, she still cried into her pillow, mourning the love she thought she had. But the city wasn't done with them. Rumors swirled that Jasmine was negotiating a book deal, promising to reveal every detail of her relationship with Kirk. The news sent shockwaves through Atlanta. Fans speculated wildly about what secrets the book might hold. Kirk panicked, calling his lawyer, begging, "Make her stop. She can't publish lies about me."